Serial killers have always been an interesting topic to study throughout history, both the killers and the victims.
Some of the most interesting and scariest serial killers have lived and killed in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s.
These famous serial killers included David Berkowitz, aka Son of Sam, Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, and Jeffrey Dahmer.
With most, if not all, serial killers, there's a story behind their madness. A troubled childhood, a bad life experience, or something just went wrong in their head.
The science behind the madness in a serial killer's mind is extremely hard to understand, but is truly fascinating. Our first serial killer is Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy was an American serial killer active between 1973 and 78.
Bundy confessed to over 30 murders, although the actual total of victims is unknown.
Bundy would beat his victims then strangle them to death. He also engaged in rape and necrophilia.
It is not known on when Bundy began killing people, but it is believed that he started killing as far back as his early teens.
On February 7, 1980, Bundy was convicted on all counts and sentenced to death.
At 7:06 local time on January 24, 1989, Bundy was strapped into Old Sparky, the electric chair at Florida State Prison in Stark, Florida. His last words were, "I'd like you to give my love to my family and friends." Our next serial killer is David Berkowitz, aka Son of Sam. David Berkowitz is an American serial killer as well as an arsonist. He terrorized New York City with crime from July 1976 until his arrest in August of 1977.
David Berkowitz was born Richard David Malko on June 1, 1953. He was born in Brooklyn, New York.
Berkowitz claimed that his first attacks on women occurred in late 1975, when he attacked two women with a knife on Christmas Eve. Not long afterward, Berkowitz moved to an apartment in Yonkers.
David Berkowitz was involved in many more killings until his eventual capture on August 10, 1977, just outside of his apartment.
On June 12, 1978, he was sentenced to 6 life sentences in prison for the murders, making his maximum term 365 years.
In 2002, Berkowitz asked that his parole hearing be canceled. He stated that in all honesty, he believed that he deserved to be in prison for the rest of his life, and with God's help, he came long ago to terms with the situation and he accepted his punishment.
Our next serial killer is John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was an American serial killer. Gacy raped and murdered at least 33 young men and boys, mostly teenagers.
He became known as Killer Clown because of the popular block parties he would throw for his friends and neighbors. At these parties, he would entertain the children dressed as Pogo the Clown.
Gacy later confessed that he had committed approximately 25 to 30 murders.
On February 6, 1980, Gacy's trial began. During the trial, he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity.
On May 10, 1994, Gacy was executed at Stateville Correctional Center by lethal injection. The next serial killer we will discuss is Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer was an American serial killer and sex offender between the years 1978 and 1991. Dahmer murdered 17 men and boys. His murders were very gory and included torture, rape, necrophilia, and cannibalism.
Dahmer had a normal childhood, but he became very antisocial between the ages of 10 and 15. Jeffrey would bike around his neighborhood looking for dead animals, which he would dissect at home.
Dahmer began to drink in his teen years and became an alcoholic by the time of his high school graduation. Dahmer's father then forced Jeffrey to enlist in the army, which was good for him for a while until he was discharged due to his alcoholism.
In the summer of 1987, Jeffrey Dahmer committed his first murder. While his family was gone, Dahmer picked up a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks. Dahmer beat Hicks to death with a barbell and buried his body in the backyard.
It would be 9 years until Dahmer killed again. His next victim was Stephen Tuomi. After he killed Tuomi, Dahmer continued to kill frequently.
On July 22, 1991, a man named Tracy Edwards was lured into Dahmer's home. Edwards soon became aware of what was going on and escaped. Edwards ran down the street and got the attention of a local cop car.
The cops investigated Dahmer's apartment and found severed body parts, including a decapitated head in the refrigerator.
Jeffrey Dahmer was convicted of 17 murder charges, which were reduced to 15. His trial started on January 30th, 1992.
Dahmer pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. The court found him sane and guilty on 15 counts of murder. He was sentenced to 15 life terms.
Dahmer served his time at the Columbia Correctional Institute in Portage, Wisconsin.
On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was severely beaten by a fellow inmate. On the way to the hospital, Dahmer died of severe head trauma.
Their flesh. It made me feel like they were a permanent part of me. Besides the just mere curiosity of what it would be like, it made them feel that they were a part of me, and it gave me a sexual satisfaction to do that.
Sure, I get angry. I get very, very angry and indignant. I don't like being locked up for something I didn't do, and I don't like my liberty taken away, and I don't like being treated like an animal, and I don't like people walking around and ogling me like I'm some sort of weirdo, because I'm not.
I never claimed to be an angel, and I've openly admitted to everything that I've definitely not be homosexual. I have nothing against what they do, and I don't deny that I've engaged in sex with males, but that I'm bisexual. I strolled down the streets and stalked young boys and slaughtered them. Hell, if you could see my schedule, my work schedule, you know damn well that I was never out there.
How do you feel about killing?
I don't. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't have a feeling one way or the other. I think if I had a choice, I wouldn't.
They tried to raise me as best as I could, you know, and they fed me and clothed me and gave me love. But there was just something in me that would not respond to that love and pushed it away. I was so self-destructive.
Saying I'd wanted to kill my mother since I was 8 years old, and I'm not proud of that. It started with surrogates at a non-human level. Physical objects, my possessions, other people's, destruction of things that are cared about, and then destruction of things that are living on a lower level, small animals, insects, animals, and then finally people.
You killed those men in cold blood.
Yeah, and I got to come clean that I killed those 7 men in first-degree murder and robbery. As they said, they had it right. Serial killer.
And that completely had me freaked out. So we ended up wrestling on the floor. I got bitten in the process. I still had the scar from that. And probably smothered her more than I strangled her. And that was the first murder.